Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam to all the Vaishnavas listening to me. Today is the re-recitation of day 21st, which was 19th June. The audio was not clear in that recitation, so this is the re-recitation. We'll start from the 8th question of the chapter Anartha Nivritti. Before that, let us offer our prayers at the lotus feet of Srila Gurudev and all our previous acharyas. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते। तद्काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद वांछा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। So 8th question is, which anarthas are produced from the weakness of the heart? Answer is, following activities arise from the weakness of the heart: laziness and subordination to insignificant objects, bewilderment of the heart due to lamentation, distraction from pure devotional service due to false argument, display miserliness in offering of all one's energy in the cultivation of Krishna consciousness, rejection of the nature of humility due to pride of caste, wealth, education, follower, beauty and strength, becoming misguided by irreligious propensity and instructions, disinterest in rectifying the prejudice, abandoning compassion due to anger, illusion, envy and intolerance, falsely identifying oneself as Vaishnavas due to desire for name, fame and cheating propensity, and torturing other living entities with a desire to enjoy women, wealth and sense gratification. 9th question. What is the thirst for sense gratification? Answer is, desire for sense gratification with one's material body is called thirst for sense gratification. Heavenly pleasures, sense enjoyments, wealth, followers of are all examples of this. The more one's constitutional position is awakened, the more one will be detached to insignificant material objects. At the same time, one should take special care in giving up offences against the holy names. By chanting the holy names of the Lord while giving up the offences, one will quickly attain the treasured love of God. 10th question. Is it possible to worship Hari by one's own independent consideration? Answer is, pure unalloyed devotional service will not be awakened in the heart if one depends on one's own independent consideration. 11th question. Which disturbances are created as a result of anarthas? Answer is, bad association, duplicity and dependent on godless people are created due to anarthas. This hinders one's progress on the path of devotional service. One certainly indulges in various worldly topics in the course of bad association. As a result, strong attachment for temporary material objects is developed and one's life of pure bhajana is greatly hampered. 12th question. Is long and healthy life without love of God condemnable? Answer is, a long and healthy life becomes a source of anarthas if there is no loving relationship with God. 13th question. Which symbol of anartha is Putana? Answer is, Putana symbolizes a pseudo-spiritual master who teaches material enjoyment and liberation. The pseudo-sadhus who are fond of material enjoyment and liberation belong to this category of Putana. Out of compassion for pure devotees, the child Krishna killed Putana to protect his newly grown mood. 14th question. Which anarthas should be a practitioner destroy by the teachings of Sakata Bhajana or the pastimes of breaking the cart? Answer is the burden of former and modern prejudices, laziness and pride are destroyed by killing Sakatasura. The child Krishna destroys such anarthas by killing Sakata demon. 15th question. Which anarthas does Tranavarta represent? Answer is Tranavarta is the symbol of pride, of useless learning, false arguments, dry logic or reasoning, and associating with like-minded persons. Atheism is also included in Tranavarta. Being compassionate by the humility of the practitioner, child Krishna kills the demon Tranavarta and destroys the thorns on the path of bhajana. 16th question. Which anarthas are eradicated in the pastimes of uprooting Yamalarjuna trees? Answer is the madness caused by violence to the living entities, association with women, and drinking wine are produced from the pride due to opulence and aristocracy. This makes a living entity's tongue unrestricted and makes him envious to other living entities out of mercilessness and shamelessness. Krishna destroys such faults by mercifully uprooting the Yamalarjuna trees. 17th question. Which symbol of anartha is Vatsasura? Answer is sinful activities and being controlled by others' intelligence born from greed due to a childish nature are the anarthas called Vatsasura. Krishna mercifully destroys them. 18th question. What is the definition of anartha known as Bakasura? Answer is duplicity, cheating propensity, and false behavior due to deceitfulness are the symptoms of anartha known as Bakasura. One cannot attain pure devotional service to Krishna without destroying these faults. 19th question. Which symbols of anartha is the killing of Aghasura? Answer is killing of the demon Aghasura symbolizes removing the sinful activities of violence towards living entities and torturing others due to hatred. 20th question. Which representation of anartha is the bewilderment of Brahma? Answer is bewilderment of Brahma represents accumulation of doubts that arise from the cultivation of karma and janana and disregarding the mood of sweetness due to being absorbed in the mood of opulence. 21st question. Which symbol of anartha is Dhenukasura? Answer is the killing of Dhenukasura deals with the removal of gross mentality, lack of spiritual knowledge, ignorance about the absolute truth, and the opposition of the knowledge of one's constitutional position. 22nd question. Which ideal of anartha is serpent Kalya? Answer is the chastisement of Kalya removes pride, cheating, cruelty, harming others, and absence of compassion to other living entities. 23rd question. The forest fire is indicative of which anartha? Answer is destroying the forest fire illustrates the destruction of quarreling between each other, becoming envious of authorized sampradayas, demigods, and conflicts such as war. 24th question. Which symbol of anartha is Pralamba? Answer is killing of Pralamba illustrates removal of desire for woman hunting, profit, adoration, and distinction. 25th question. Forest fire is indicative of which anartha? Answer is drinking of forest fire illustrates the removal of disturbances in the practice of religious principles and the disturbances caused by the atheists. 26th question. Which ideal of anartha is Yajnik Brahmanas' negligence of Krishna? Answer is the behavior of the Yajnik Brahmanas illustrates indifference towards Krishna and attachment to fruitive activities due to pride of following the system of Varnashrama. 27th question. Which ideal of anartha is the worship of Indra? Answer is the prohibition of the worship of Indra illustrates the rejection of godless mentality and self-worship. 28th question. What is the teaching behind the pastimes of delivering Nanda from the clutches of Varuna? Answer is Deliverance of Nanda from Varuna teaches that by drinking wine, etc., one's happiness in the worship of the Lord certainly diminishes. 29th question. What is the purport of the pastimes of King Nanda's deliverance from the clutches of the snake? Answer is, deliverance of Nanda Maharaj from the grip of snake illustrates rejection of the association of the impersonalist and deliverance of the science of devotional service who is swallowed by impersonalism. 30th question. Shankachuda is a symbol of which anartha? Answer is, the killing of Shankachuda teaches the abandonment of desire for name and fame as well as desire for association with women. 31st question. The bull-shaped Aristasura is a symbol of which anartha? Answer is, killing of Aristasura teaches the destruction of disregard of devotional service which manifests from the pride of cheating religion, etc. 32nd question. The Kesi demon is a symbol of which anartha? Answer is, the mentality I am a great devotee or an acharya, as well as mundane false ego and opulence are destroyed by the killing of the demon Kesi. 33rd question. The Vyomasura demon is a symbol of which anartha? Answer is, the killing of Vyomasura illustrates the abandonment of association of the thieves and the hypocrites. 34th question. What kind of anartha is the lack of determination? What harm does this anartha cause? Answer is, let me indulge in sense gratification today. Tomorrow I will give it up. Such a weakness of heart can never bring any auspiciousness. Whatever one once feels to be obstacles on the path of devotional service, one should immediately give it up by the strength of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. Determination is the root of sadhana. In the absence of determination, even a step in the path of spiritual life will not be advanced. 35th question. Is hypocrisy an anartha? Answer is, one should never hear the advice of the hypocrites who are fond of sense gratification. With that we finish 46th chapter and now start 47th chapter. The topic of this chapter is Nishtha. First question. What is the life of Preeti? Answer is, Nishtha is the life of Preeti. Second question. What is the resolution of a devotee who has developed Nishtha? Answer is, the devotees of Krishna who are my mother and father, they are my friends and brothers. Only Krishna is my husband. Living life with Krishna, I won't go anywhere. Third question. What is most desirable in bhajan? Answer is, the most desirable things in bhajan are determination and simplicity. Fourth question. Why is the desire for nishtha and association with devotees superior to the indifference and renunciation exhibited by the so-called philosophy of synthesis? Answer is, in the course of glorifying Paramahamsa, it is written that he was extremely hostile to the sectarian religious principles, and despite living among the followers of such religion, he feels happy. From this we understand that Paramahamsa Mahashaya was an impersonalist. He is not particularly acquainted with devotional service. The nature of impersonalism is that it ultimately makes a practitioner indifferent and free from any association. The nature of devotional service is that it ultimately induces a practitioner to desire to associate with devotees and award him nishtha in his worshipable Lord. Now if we ask which is better among the two, then Sriman Mahaprabhu Chaitanya Deva instructs us that nishtha in the worshipable object and association with the devotees are unlimitedly superior to renunciation and indifference. Fifth question. What are the resolutions of a devotee who is fixed? Answer is, the 6 symptoms of surrender of a devotee are the acceptance of those things favorable to devotional service, the rejection of unfavorable things, the conviction that Krishna will give protection, the acceptance of the Lord as one's guardian or master, full self-surrender and humility. Sixth question. What is Nishtha in one's worshipable object? Answer is, my Lord, you are not very much satisfied by the worship of the demigods who arrange for your worship very pompously with various paraphernalia, but are full of material hankerings. You are situated in everyone's heart as the super soul just to show your causeless mercy. You are the eternal well-wisher, but you are unavailable for the non-devotees. Seventh question. How should one faithfully hear the glories of Krishna's names and qualities? Answer is, if one hears glorification of Krishna's name, form and qualities from the mouth of a devotee, but one's hairs do not stand erect, nor do tears of ecstasy flow from the eyes, then what is the use of maintaining such a life? Eighth question. How should one keep faith in Krishna and in devotional service to Krishna? Answer is, may the spiritual master of the three worlds, Sri Krishna, protect us all. Krishna is also known as Vishwambhara. He manifests this world, maintains it, and in time destroys it. The entire creation is situated in Krishna, and we are therefore all his servants. The wealth of the world is distributed by him. Let us offer our obeisances with full faith unto Sri Krishna, who awards one the ultimate goal. You have taken birth for the purpose of performing devotional service to Krishna. Indeed, everything in this world other than devotional service to Krishna is false. Ninth question. How should one have faith in one's bhajana? Answer is, my dear Lord Krishna, I pray that the swan of my mind may immediately sink down to the stems of the lotus feet of your Lordship and be locked up in their network. Otherwise, at the time of my final breath, when my throat is choked up with cough, how will it be possible to think of you? In such a condition, your holy name will not manifest on my tongue. If I leave my body without remembering you, then how will I attain you? 10th question. How should one faithfully pray to his worshipable Lord? Answer is, O Hari, I have no faith in religious principles and I have no knowledge of the soul. Furthermore, I have no devotion to your lotus feet. I am utterly destitute, a rogue with no idea of the goal of life. In this way, I always cheat myself. You, however, are the deliverer of the fallen, and I am an insignificant fallen soul. Therefore, you are the only goal of my life. Having achieved your lotus feet, I take shelter of you, for you are my eternal Lord, and I am your servant. 11th question. What is the mood of one's surrender to the supreme will of Krishna? Answer is, there is no sin in this world which I have not committed. The results of those sinful activities are now beginning to fructify, and they are churning me in this material ocean. O Mukunda, seeing no other path, I am crying again and again before you. Punish me as you deem fit. You are the giver of punishment and you are my Lord. 12th question. How should one pray to remain fixed in the service of Krishna by giving up material desires? Answer is, O Hari, being evil-minded and seeing no other refuge, I have taken shelter of your lotus feet. I have now come to know that you are my Lord. You are the Lord of the universe and I am your eternal servant. When will that day come when I will actually realize myself as your eternal servant? When will my material desires be completely destroyed so that I will spontaneously serve you to your satisfaction? 13th question. How should one keep faith in full surrender to the Lord? Answer is, O Hari, I am an offender and therefore I am always punishable. I have all bad qualities and I am guilty of committing thousands and thousands of offenses. I am drowning inside this terrible turbulent ocean of material existence. I have lost my way and I desire to find the right path. O Hari, I have taken shelter of your lotus feet out of fear. Please accept me as your own. O Lord, your vow is that you will definitely liberate anyone from material bondage who takes shelter of you. 18th question. What is Nishtha in regard to self-humility? Answer is, O Hari, let me submit one humble request before you. Be merciful and kindly hear my words. This is not a meaningless request, but it is confidential coming from my heart. I am wretched and you are most merciful. Therefore, you are the most capable person to bestow mercy. As you confer your mercy unto one who is very fallen, I am a suitable candidate for your mercy. If you ignore me, then it will be very, very difficult to find a more suitable candidate for your mercy. 15th question. What is Nishtha in regard to the desire for serving the lotus feet of the Lord? Answer is, I am always transgressing the injunctions of the Vedas. I am degraded, fickle-minded, always envious, ungrateful, proud and sinful. I am controlled by lust and always engaged in cheating. In this condition, how will I cross the ocean of material suffering and engage in the service of your lotus feet? 16th question. What is Nishtha in obtaining the association of most desirable devotees? Answer is, I may also take birth again according to my past activities or by your will. O Purushottama, kindly hear this one request. I pray that if I again take birth, let it be in the house of your servant, even as a worm, I will be satisfied at heart. I have no desire to take birth with the opulence of Lord Brahma in the house of one averse to you. With folded hands, I am offering you this humble prayer. 17th question. What is Nishtha in regard to one's self-surrender? Answer is, in this world, there are bodily distinctions such as man and woman, and there are 4 varnas and 4 ashramas divided according to the 3 modes of nature of goodness, passion and ignorance. In this way, there are countless varieties of bodies. O Lord of my life, whatever body I must reside in, whatever condition doesn't matter, for I now surrender myself at your lotus feet. From now on, I have nothing left that I consider mine. 18th question. What is Nishtha in regard to one's humility? Answer is, with folded hands, this rascal cries and without hesitation sincerely offers his prayers to you. In a sobbing voice I pray, O merciful Lord, please be kind to me. Just cast your merciful glance once on me and thus save my life. 19th question. What is Nishtha in regard to pleasing Krishna? Answer is, O Lord, kindly bestow mercy upon me in the form of your sidelong glance followed by the sweet sound of your flute. If you are pleased with me and others are displeased, it doesn't matter. But if you are displeased with me and others are pleased, then what is the benefit for me? With that, we finish 47th chapter and now start 48th chapter. The topic of this chapter is Ruchi. First question. What result does one achieve by engaging in Ragatmika Seva? Answer is, by developing greed for Krishna's service, the Vaishnava's service and chanting the holy names, there will be no greed for inferior things. One who becomes greedy by seeing the Vrajavasis' service to Krishna is very fortunate. By the mercy of that greed, he attains the qualification for Raga Bhakti. One's material greed is vanquished in proportion to one's development of greed for Ragatmika service. Second question. What is Ruchi? Answer is, the propensity born from 2 kinds of prejudices, namely ancient and modern, is called Ruchi. This Ruchi of the living entities is temporary. Those who have no taste or Ruchi for Shringara Rasa but have taste for dasya or sakhya rasa should follow the instructions suitable for their respective rasas, otherwise it will create unnecessary problem. The perfected original ruchi of the great Vaishnavas Sri Shyamananda Prabhu was not manifest at first. That is why he was instructed to enter into Sakhya Rasa. Later, by the mercy of Sri Jiva Goswami Prabhu, he attained his original spontaneous bhajana. This is well-known fact. The principle of qualification and eligibility plays a prominent role in the incarnation of Sri Chaitanya Deva. Third question. Who develops ruchi for his constitutional propensity? Answer is, those hearts are fully transcendental develop a taste for subordination to the residents of Vraja. Therefore, greed or ruchi for Raganuga Bhakti is the only indication of one's constitutional propensity. Fourth question. When one develops ruchi for pure devotional service, does he develop detachment for objects not related to Krishna? Answer is, home paraphernalia, disciples, wealth in the form of animals and grains, wife, sons, servants, maidservants, relatives, fruitive activities described in flowery words, and beautiful women are all considered important objects in the material world. I, however, have no desire to obtain these things. O Krishna, I aspire only for your mercy in the form of pure devotion for you. Fifth question. When one develops a taste for chanting the holy names of the Lord, does he still keep a taste for name, fame and so on? Answer is, a sannyasi must not present allurements of material benefits to gather many disciples, nor should he unnecessarily read many books, non-devotional books, or give discourses as a means of livelihood. He must never attempt to increase material opulence unnecessarily. One who has a taste for the holy name does not want such things. Sixth question. How should one perform bhajana with ruchi? Answer is, engage in hearing and chanting Krishna's name, form and attributes with undivided attention, and try to destroy your anarthas. Then the creeper of devotion will quickly bear fruit. Seventh question. If one is full of lamentation and illusion for material objects, is there a chance that he will have taste for the service of the Lord? Answer is, one whose heart is full of anger, pride or lamentation for the state of his wife or children, there is no possibility of Krishna being manifest. Eighth question. What kind of ruchi should one have in serving the lotus feet of Krishna in the association of devotees? Answer is, O Lord, if I take birth in this land of Vrindavana or in any other universe, or if I take birth as a bird or animal anywhere within your creation, my only desire is that I may be able to serve you in various ways in the association of your devotees. Ninth question. What type of ruchi should one have in hearing the glories of Krishna's transcendental qualities? Answer is, I want the benediction of at least 1,000,000 years, for thus I may be able to hear about the glories of your lotus feet from the mouths of your pure devotees. With that, we finish 48th chapter and now start 49th chapter. The topic of this chapter is Asakti. First question. What is Asakti? Answer is, when the state of ruchi matures, it is called Asakti. Second question. What is desirable in developing attachment to Krishna? Answer is, O vanquisher of all distress, please shows us mercy. To approach your lotus feet, we abandoned our families and homes, and we have no desire other than to serve you. Our hearts are burning with intense desires generated by your beautiful smiling glances. O jewel among men, please make us your maidservants. Third question. How is the life of persons who are attached to Krishna? Answer is, O Lord, I spend my day by honoring your remnants such as flowers, sandalwood paste, ornaments and garments. My identification is that I am a servant of you, and I survive by eating your remnants. In this way, I conquer your illusory energy and remain unattached. Fourth question. How intense is the eagerness of those who are attached to Krishna? Answer is, expert transcendentalists always direct their affection towards you because they recognize you as their true self and their eternally beloved. What use do we have for these husbands, children, and relatives of ours who simply give us trouble? Therefore, O Supreme Controller, grant us your mercy. O Lotus-eyed One, please do not cut down our long cherished hope to have your association. Fifth question. Is it possible to become attached to Krishna without being attached to the service of the devotees? Answer is, how is it possible to immerse oneself in the ocean of Shyama Rasa, which is love for Krishna or Madhurya Rasa, without worshipping the dust of the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani, or without taking the shelter of Vrindavana, which is decorated with her footprints, or without serving her devotees, whose grave hearts are always absorbed in love for her? Sixth question. In developing attachment for Krishna, in which rasa does one develop an eagerness to worship the Lord? Answer is, after giving up the pride of falsely identifying the material body with the self by the mercy of Krishna, I reside in Braja as a gopi. As Srimati Radharani's maid servant, I always take pleasure serving Radha and Krishna in their Parakiya Rasa pastimes. Seventh question. Do those who are attached to Krishna hanker after the four objectives of life? What are their goals of life? Answer is, abandoning attachment for family, friends, material pleasures, wealth, and all other spiritual paths. Finding them distasteful, I take on my head and worship the dust of the lotus feet of Sri Radhika, which is a shower of wonderful transcendental bliss. Eighth question. What is the heartiest desire of those who are attached to Krishna? Answer is, O Radha, O Vrishabhanu Nandini, when by your mercy will I stay on the banks of Yamuna and wander on the paths within the groves of Vrindavana as I engage in your service as a maid servant? Ninth question. Which sadhana or process for achieving the goal of life and sadhya or the goal of life are to be constantly cherished by those who are attached to Krishna? Answer is, I will relish the most amazing festival of attachment to Sri Radha by always remembering Krishna, who wears a peacock feather in his crown, by performing Sankirtana, by engaging in the service of his lotus feet, by chanting the best of mantras, and by remembering the most cherished service of the lotus feet of Sri Radha within my heart. 10th question. What is the sole desired goal of those who are attached to Krishna? Answer is, may I attain the service of Vrishabhanu Nandini birth after birth. She is the personification of the essence of the transcendental mellows of the divine sports. She is the supreme goddess of fortune with a form of most wonderful transcendental bliss. Her lotus feet are difficult to attain even for the demigods headed by Lord Brahma. 11th question. What do the devotees who are attached to Krishna cultivate with all their senses? Answer is, may my tongue be overwhelmed by relishing the nectar of Radha's name. May my feet be engaged in wandering the paths of Vrindavana, which are marked by Radha's footprints. May my hands be engaged in the loving service of Radharani. May my mind be constantly engaged in the meditation of the lotus feet of Sri Radha. May I attain firm attachment for the lotus feet of Sri Krishna by attaining the festival of ecstatic love for Radha. 12th question. What is the devotee's prayer to Srimati Radharani? Answer is, O Devi, in great distress I fall to the ground, offering you obeisances and prayers with a voice choked with emotion. O Gandharvika, please bestow your mercy on this pauper and count me amongst your own associates. 13th question. Why are the devotees of Krishna partial or more attached to the service of Srimati Radharani? Answer is, when will I be delighted in the service of Srimati Radharani? Struck by the arrow of her sidelong glance, Krishna faints, his flute falls from his hands, the peacock feathers on his head becomes loosened, and his yellow scarf slips from his neck. With that, we finish the 49th chapter and now start the 50th chapter. The topic of this chapter is Bhava. First question. What is Bhava? Which stage of Prema Bhakti is this Bhava? Answer is, Prema Bhakti is the fruit of Sadhana Bhakti. There are two stages of Prema Bhakti, Bhav and Prema. Prema is just like the sun. Bhava is its rays. Bhav is the form of pure goodness, and when mixed with Ruchi, it melts the heart. The stage of Krishna consciousness that is mentioned in regard to the description of the symptoms of devotional service that resembles the form of pure goodness and melts the heart with the help of Ruchi is called Bhava. Bhav manifests in the propensity of the mind and attains its nature. In fact, Bhava is self-manifest, but accepting the nature of the mind, it appears as manifested. Second question. What is the example of Bhava born from Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti and Bhava born from Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti? Answer is, the life of Sri Narada is an example of Bhava born from Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. The example of Bhava born from the Raganuga Bhakti is the women devotees mentioned in Padma Purana who were on the platform of Raganuga Bhakti. Third question is there any illicit activity found in the life of a devotee who has attained Bhava? Answer is, it is not that the life of Bhava changes the life of regulative devotional service all of a sudden, but the activities of Bhava Bhakta appear to be independent of the regulative principles. All his activities are regulated by his strong spontaneous attachment. Although the nature of a person on the platform of Bhava is independent, there is no possibility of any disturbance from him. Such a person does not have any taste for any kind of pious and sinful activities. He does not engage in any activities as his duty. He does not feel like imitating anyone. Maintenance of his body, mind and the society are automatically carried out due to his previous habit. Since he is indifferent to any activity, then there is never any possibility for him to engage in sinful activities. With that, we complete this session. My sincere obeisances at the lotus feet of Srila Gurudev Ji Maharaj and the divine couple Sri Sri Radha Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.